Rain poured down in thick sheets, turning the ruined city streets into rivers of mud. Buildings stood like broken teeth, blackened and shattered from battles long past. Amid the ruins, a man lay on the ground, his clothes soaked, his body trembling. 8 deep stab wounds marked his chest and arms. Blood mixed with rainwater, dripping onto the cracked concrete. He gritted his teeth and looked down at the small figure beside him, a child no taller than 3 feet, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. The child's eyes were wide with fear, staring at the dark shapes moving in the distance. The man's hand tightened around a small, rusted pipe he had picked up as a weapon. "They won't take you," he whispered, voice hoarse. "Not while I'm breathing." Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the approaching figures. They were unlike any human he had ever seen. Tall, armored, and silent, their movements precise and deadly. Elite soldiers from another world, hunting the child he had sworn to protect. The man remembered the moment he found the child. A week ago, the city had been quiet. Then, in the middle of an abandoned street, he had heard a soft cry. A glowing blue light peeked from the rubble. At first, he thought it was some strange animal, but when he approached, he saw the child's terrified face and knew instantly this was no ordinary being. Ever since that day, his life had become a constant battle. He had learned to run, hide, and fight, all while keeping the child safe. But nothing had prepared him for this. 8 knives, thrown by these alien hunters, had pierced his flesh, and yet, somehow, he was still alive. The soldiers stopped, scanning the area with eyes that seemed to pierce the night. The child shrank behind him, tiny hands glowing brighter as if it could sense the danger. A low hum vibrated in the air, warning the man that the aliens had weapons beyond anything human. Pain shot through his side, making him gasp. Every breath was a struggle. But he refused to collapse. Using the last of his strength, he dragged himself and the child into the ruins of a nearby building. Broken walls offered some cover, but the soldiers were fast, smarter than any human enemy he had faced. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "Don't make a sound." The child nodded, gripping his jacket. Its glow pulsed with fear and something more, something he couldn't quite understand. He had seen flashes before, the child moving objects without touching them, healing small wounds with a touch, even shielding them from falling debris. But tonight, he needed more than flashes. He needed a miracle. Outside, the soldiers paused, scanning, their voices low and mechanical. "Target is near," one of them said, in a language that sounded like music and metal at the same time. The man's mind raced. He had no weapons left. His pipe was bent and weak. He thought about running, but the streets were open, and there was no cover. They would catch him in seconds. And if they took the child, everything he had fought for would be lost. He steadied his breathing and looked at the child. "We fight," he said. "Even if it's the last thing we do." Suddenly, the child's glow intensified. The man felt warmth spreading from its small body, filling him with strength. He didn't know how it worked, but he understood one thing: this child was not helpless. Together, they might survive. The soldiers entered the building. Metal boots clanging against broken concrete, their shadows stretching long under the flickering lights. The man gritted his teeth and waited, heart pounding, every nerve screaming to run. One of the soldiers stopped near the doorway. Its helmet lifted slightly, revealing eyes that burned like fire. It raised a weapon, aimed directly at the man. He lunged, barely, swinging the pipe. Sparks flew as metal met metal. The child cried out, and suddenly, a shockwave of energy burst from its body. The soldier stumbled back, thrown against the wall. The man shielded the child, barely avoiding falling debris. For a moment, silence returned. The child's glow faded to a soft blue again, but now, it was calm, almost confident. The man knew they had survived this attack, but the hunt was far from over. These soldiers were relentless, and their planet or universe would not stop until the child was captured. He collapsed against the wall, blood dripping from his wounds, hands shaking, but eyes determined. He had protected the child. He had survived 8 stabs. And he would continue to survive, no matter what came next. Lightning flashed one last time, and in its brief light, he saw the alien soldiers regrouping outside. They were patient. They would not give up. But neither would he. The man looked down at the child. "We can hide," he whispered. "We can run. But we will fight. And we will survive." Outside, the wind howled through the broken city, carrying the sound of distant footsteps. The chase had begun. And somewhere deep inside him, the man knew this was only the beginning. The first thing the man noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the tense, electric silence before a storm. The city streets were empty, but the air hummed with energy. Then he felt it, the child's glow flaring brighter than ever. The child stood alone in the middle of the street, arms raised slightly. A low hum echoed through the ruins. The man struggled to his feet, pain lancing through his side. What are you doing?" he gasped. The child didn't answer. Instead, the glow expanded into a faint shield around them. From the shadows, the alien soldiers emerged, moving silently, weapons ready. The man froze. He had never seen anything like this. The child's small form seemed to grow larger, radiating light that pushed back the darkness. The first alien stepped forward, scanning, and the man realized they hadn't expected the child to fight back. With a flash of energy, the child hurled a small object from the ground. It wasn't just thrown, it seemed to fly by thought alone. The alien staggered, and a loud metallic clang rang out as its weapon hit the wall. "That's impossible," the man muttered, a mixing with fear. He stumbled forward to help, grabbing the child's hand. "We have to move." Together, they ran through narrow alleys, the child lighting the path with a glowing trail that faded seconds later. The aliens followed, but the man noticed something strange. The child wasn't just running, it seemed to guide them, choosing the safest paths, anticipating traps before he could see them. Hours passed. They hid in abandoned buildings, dodged crumbling debris, and survived near misses. The man finally had a moment to catch his breath. "I need to know," he said quietly, pressing his hand to the child's tiny shoulder. What are you really?" The child looked at him, eyes glowing softly. It was as if it wanted to speak but had no words humans could understand. Then, slowly, a memory appeared in the man's mind, not words, just images, a distant planet, forests of glowing trees, a city made of light, and people who looked like the child. Then, a terrible explosion. The planet burning. The child alone. The man's heart clenched. "You survived too," he whispered. A soft hum replied, the glow flickering like a heartbeat. They reached the edge of the city as dawn began to break. The alien soldiers had not stopped, but the man realized something crucial. They were slower now, cautious, almost afraid of the child's power. That gave them a chance to escape further. They hid in an old human settlement at the outskirts. Here, the man hoped they could rest, but the humans they found were wary, fearful of the glowing child. Rumors had spread, strange lights, mysterious beings, and sudden deaths. The man had to convince them not to harm the child. "It's safe," he said to a woman guarding the door. "It doesn't want to hurt anyone. It just needs protection." The woman narrowed her eyes. "We don't get involved. Things like this, they bring death." The man nodded. He understood. Humans feared what they didn't understand. But he also knew something else. The child was key to survival, not just for them but for the universe. If the aliens captured it, no one could predict the consequences. Night fell again. The man sat outside the shelter, watching the child sleep under a soft glow. He remembered the first time he had protected it, lying bleeding in the rain. Now, the stakes were even higher. They were not just running for survival, they were running against destiny itself. Suddenly, the hum returned. Not from the child, but from above. A shadow passed silently across the moonlight. The alien soldiers had tracked them, using methods the man could not see. He stood, pain shooting through his wounds, and whispered, "We can't hide forever. We have to fight, or they will take you." The child stirred, small hands glowing, ready to respond. The man felt a surge of determination. He had survived 8 stabs before. He could survive this too. And now, he had something even stronger, the child's power and a reason worth dying for. Lightning flashed far away, illuminating the ruins, the glowing child, and the lone human standing beside it. Somewhere beyond the city, the alien soldiers regrouped, preparing for the next attack. But for now, they were safe. For now. And the man knew when the next battle came, it would not just be a fight for survival. It would be a fight to protect hope itself. The city held its breath. Broken walls, shattered streets, and silent towers seemed to tremble as if they knew what was coming. From the sky, the elite alien soldiers moved like shadows, their armor glinting under the rising sun. For the first time, the man didn't hear them, he felt them. The hum of their weapons, the rhythm of their steps, the cold precision of their hunt, it was all around him. Below, in a narrow alley, the man crouched beside the child. Every muscle in his body screamed from old wounds, exhaustion, and fear. Yet his eyes were sharp. He had planned this moment for hours, traps hidden in the ruins, explosives rigged to falling walls, and narrow corridors where humans or anyone could not easily follow. The child glowed softly, almost calm now. But the man knew better. The glow was a warning, a shield, and a promise of power. They had survived before, but this time, the stakes were higher. This time, they would not run. A shadow moved across the street. The first alien soldier stepped forward, scanning, weapon raised. Its eyes burned like fire. Then another, and another, until the narrow alley was surrounded. The man whispered, "We fight." The child's glow brightened, pulsing with energy like a heartbeat. The first soldier raised its weapon, aiming directly at them. Then, light exploded. A trap they had set detonated, sending debris and smoke flying. The soldiers staggered, but not for long. They recovered instantly, their movements precise and deadly, like a storm of metal and fire. The man lunged forward, using every ounce of strength left in his battered body. He swung pipes, kicked debris, and used the environment like a weapon. Every move counted. Every second was survival. The child followed, small hands glowing, pushing away falling walls, creating shields, even throwing objects at enemies with invisible force. One alien soldier broke through the debris, towering over him. The man froze for a split second, then acted. He grabbed a jagged piece of metal and struck with all his strength. Sparks flew. Pain lanced through his body, but the soldier faltered. That was all the opening the child needed. A beam of blue energy shot from its hands, knocking two more soldiers back. For a moment, the world seemed still. The man watched the child, amazed and terrified. This was no ordinary being. It was a force of nature, and he was the only human who could guide it. Then came the final wave. The leader of the alien soldiers, taller and more armored than the rest, appeared at the end of the alley. Its eyes scanned, and the man could feel the intelligence behind them. This was not just a hunter, it was a strategist, a predator with a plan. The man knew there was no way to avoid this fight. He positioned himself between the child and the alien leader. "I protect it," he shouted. "Even if it costs me everything." The battle began. Metal clashed, energy beams cut through the air, and the ruins shook with every strike. The man dodged, rolled, and counterattacked with pure determination. The child moved beside him, glowing brighter, deflecting attacks, and striking with precision that seemed impossible for its size. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed, though it felt like eternity. Then, the leader staggered, caught off guard by a coordinated strike from man and child. The child's glow flared like the sun, and the final alien soldier fell. Silence returned. The ruins were quiet except for their heavy breaths and the distant wind. The man looked at the child, bruised and exhausted, but alive. "We did it," he whispered. But deep down, he knew the fight was far from over. The galaxy would not forget this day, and the alien forces would return. The child reached up and touched his face, warmth spreading through his body. He realized then that this bond was not just survival, it was hope. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, courage and heart could stand against the strongest enemies. From above, a shadow passed across the horizon, the rest of the alien forces, retreating for now. They had learned a lesson: humans could be clever, stubborn, and fearless. And this human had a child with power that no weapon could easily defeat. The man helped the child to its feet. Together, they looked at the broken city. It was quiet, for now. Safe, for now. But the adventure was far from over. Somewhere, in the stars, others would come. But they would face human courage and the child's power, and that was a force the universe had not yet seen. Lightning flashed in the distance, illuminating their faces, glowing and determined. And in that light, the man whispered, not just to the child but to himself. "We survived. We fight. And we will never stop." The city exhaled. The storm had passed. But the war, the real war, was only beginning.